40th. A village fair. Points. What fair is. Usual occasions on which a fair is held. Description of a typical fair, its various features, its importance in rural life. A fair is a most welcome break in the drab routine of villagers. There the village artisan find a very good market. Blacksmiths, potter, toy makers and weavers, all of them look forward to a very brisk business when a fair is on. Artisans and businessmen of far and wide also assemble there with their wares and open stalls. Page 750. A fair usually marks a sacred occasion. Thus, we have fairs on the occasion of Chaitra or Paus Sankranti, New Year Day and Rath Yatra. Religion in India deeply colors the life of the people, and nowhere has religion a stronger hold than on our simple, quiet, easy-going villagers. Even their fun and diversions are some way linked with religion. It is in very air of the country. Last year I was holidaying at Gopalpur, a cozy little village near Bardhawan. I had an invitation from my sister. I felt tempted to visit the Paus Mela. The Mela ground was a couple of miles away from the village. My little nephew and niece were greatly excited. So was every child of the village. It was in fact a children's day. They would get the best fun out of it. So off I went to the Mela with the children. From the distance we saw the merry-go-round. It was a big thrill to whirl round and round till we felt dizzy. There was a most tempting array of wooden toys and clay dolls. My nephew Haru would give me no peace till I bought a big rocking horse for him. The housewives crowded round the stalls dealing in brassware or aluminium ware, pots, pans, pitchers, or various items of kitchen utensils. Handloom stalls were also heavily patronized. A magician ran a little booth and he let in 10 people at a time, charging 1 rupee per head. Both children and grown-ups found their mouth watering when they stood before the food stalls, rasgulla, jalebis, singharas, begunis. Who can resist such delicacies? It was a most hectic day. Everybody returned home late in the evening, tired but happy. The next day life was as quiet as ever. Importance of village fair goes back to far off times. They have a definite place in the life of the villagers. On an occasion like this, the whole village springs to life. Our villagers are mostly sleepy fellows. The people do not have much fun or excitement. They see the same faces day after day. They follow the same dull routine all round. A fair is needed, a change in their daily life. The villagers feel for once that the world is much bigger than their village. 41. Hobbies. Point. What a hobby is differs with tastes, utility. Different hobbies develop different powers, cautions to be exercised. A hobby is a favorite subject or occupation which is not one's main business. It is taken up simply for pleasure or amusement. The expression not one's main business and for pleasure of amusement should be carefully noted. A man may find pleasure in his main business, or he may have to take up an occupation outside his main business without finding any pleasure in it. Neither of these is a hobby. A hobby must combine both the elements of outside one's main business and pleasure and amusement. Different persons have different hobbies. Some take to collecting used up stamps, some choose gardening, some angling, some painting, and so on. But whatever be the hobby, it has its value. The most important is that it gives zest to life. The work we do for a living or for gain is like a task imposed. We have to do it, whether we get any delight in it or not. But the human heart seeks pure joy in work, and this he finds in the hobby. A person chooses his hobby according to his liking. So it gives him real pleasure and amusement. Besides, the hobby prevents a man from misusing or idling away his leisure hours. Page number 751. Moreover, different hobbies develop different qualities. Stamps contain pictures of notable persons, places, and objects of the countries concerned. So, stamp collection gives us interesting lesson on history and geography. It also gives an idea of the arts and tasks of these countries. Gardening and painting develop a sense for beauty and joy in nature. Angling teaches us patience and silence. But everything that gives us amusement is not a hobby. It must not interfere with our main business, and pleasure it gives should be pure and innocent. Thus, if a student neglects his studies in pursuit of his hobby, the hobby becomes a vice with him. Moreover, a hobby must not be too expensive for our means. In short, the pursuit of a hobby should be kept within proper bounds. 42. Health is wealth. Points. What the saying means: life of a man broken in health compared with that of a healthy man, how to preserve health, regular physical exercise, proper food, regular habits. Wealth generally means a thing that has some money value, but in a wider sense it means everything that is regarded as valuable and good. In this sense, health also is wealth, perhaps the most precious wealth. Let us examine the statement. The life of a man broken in health is a burden to him. He finds no interest and no joy in life. He may have immense riches, but they do not bring him any happiness. His cook may prepare rich and tempting dishes, but he cannot taste them. Physical sufferings brought on by ill health leave him in no mood to enjoy beautiful sights and sounds. He may have intelligence and learning, but he cannot use them either for his own benefit or for the benefit of others. Now consider the case of a poor but healthy man. He relishes his food, however poor, and derives benefit from it. His movements are brisk and active, and he can work hard. No physical suffering stands in the way of his enjoying the beauties of nature and entertaining scenes. It is therefore the duty of all to take care of this precious treasure, their health. There are certain general means to preserve it. The most important is physical health. It keeps the body and the brain in proper working condition, so one can go through one's works, physical and mental, without feeling any strain. The next thing necessary for sound health is proper food. This does not mean that the food should be rich and expensive. In fact, such food is rather injurious to health. Good health requires that we should take only such food as we can easily digest and as keeps us fit. Another thing necessary for health is regular habits. We should not go to extremes in anything, whether in eating or in taking physical exercise. Too much of anything is bad, so runs a proverb. Boyhood and youth are the times to build up health. In the natural vigor of their age, boys and girls and young people may not feel the consequences of their neglect of health, but sooner or later the lesson will be brought home to them and they will have to repent. Page number 752. 43. Wealth. Points. What is it? Usefulness, how to use it, not an unmixed blessing. Conclusion. Wealth generally means anything that has some money value. The term is sometimes used to mean everything of us used to us, as in the expression health is wealth, but for our purpose we may confine it to the former sense. Wealth is very useful to us. A person possessed of wealth is above want. so he can devote his time, energy, and attention to the pursuit of knowledge and progress of civilization. A poor man, on the contrary, is so worried about his physical needs that he finds little time or opportunity for the development of his mental faculties. This is why the poet sang, "Full may a gem of purest ray serene the dark, unfathomed caves of oceans bear. Full many a flower is born to blush unseen, and waste its sweetness in the desert air." Wealth is also connected with some of the finest qualities of the human heart, such as charity, service, philanthropy. We find all around us schools, colleges, hospitals, temples, dharamshalas, etc., which were founded by rich men and are maintained by them. There are also endowments for the pursuit of knowledge and relief of human sufferings. Love of wealth has also brought about the material prosperity of the world through trade and commerce. The value of wealth, however, lies not in its mere possession, but in the use we make of it. If we use wealth for our personal enjoyment only, that wealth is worse than useless. A wealthy man should always bear in mind that every favor has its responsibilities, and the favor that has been bestowed upon him by God makes it his duty to spend it for the good of mankind. The possession of wealth, however, is not an unmixed blessing. It may take away the urge for work, and thus prevent a man from developing his faculties. It may make him luxurious, ease-loving, and idle, and hence worthless. It attracts flatterers and tempts him to a life of vice. In the hands of wicked men, wealth becomes a weapon of oppression and brings on great sufferings. It sometimes becomes such a passion with many that they can give no thought to the finer and nobler values of life. So, to derive the greatest benefit from wealth, we should first learn its proper use. Otherwise, there is every chance of our falling into evil ways and bringing misery not only to ourselves but also to others. 44. Leisure. Points. What is it? Modern life, a continuous struggle. Need for leisure, as necessary as food. How to spend it. Leisure means free time, time at one's disposal. The progress of materialistic civilization has made life on earth almost a continuous struggle. Page number 753. So, we are being taught that for success in this struggle, we must be always up and doing. This seems to suggest that there is no room for real leisure in the present world for anybody with ambition in life, but that is a wrong idea altogether. However heavy the duties, a man must make provision for some time every day during which he may forget all about his duties and relax himself as he pleases. A machine that is worked without rest gets out of order very soon. The human machine is no exception to this law of nature. According to the Bible, even God rested a day after having created the universe. And this is why the Christians observe a day of rest every week. The Hindu Shastras also impose leisure compulsory by enjoining cessation of work on different occasions. Indeed, leisure is in the very scheme of nature. The physical and mental system of man gets tired and exhausted unless it has occasional rest after every few hours. Sleep is compulsory, leisure enforced by Mother Nature. The rapid increase in cases of nervous breakdown and in thrombosis and cancer is considered by many eminent physicians to be due to the constant worries of modern life. This is why men who can afford occasionally snatch themselves away from their normal occupations and relax themselves in quiet surroundings. Indeed, leisure is almost as necessary for life as food and exercise. But the human mind cannot remain altogether vacant, so even while enjoying leisure, it has to be filled with something pleasing and entertaining. There can be no hard and fast rule about what this something should be. It must vary according to the nature of a man's normal duties and his natural inclinations. In fact, it is the freedom of discretion that is the essence of leisure. Reading light books, enjoying games and shows, sightseeing, visiting friends at pleasure, even merely sitting in the open, gazing at natural beauty or children at play, all these are good ways of spending one's leisure. The simple but beautiful line on leisure from the poem of William Davies are worth quoting in this connection. What is this life, if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare, no time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep or cows, no time to see when woods we pass, where squirrels hide their nuts in grass, etc. 45. Dignity of labor. Points. What the expression means, usefulness of manual labor, wrong idea of our educated men about it. We cannot do without manual labor. Manual labor is beneficial. Not to use the hand is a shameful waste of a blessing of God. All forms of work, manual or intellectual, are called labor. When we till a land or carry a load, we work with our hands and are said to do manual work. But when we read a book or write a letter, our tongue or hand is at work, but our brain or intellect plays the main part. We are then said to be engaged in intellectual work. Dignity of labor chiefly means respectability of manual labor. Manual labor is very useful to us. The daily affairs of life cannot run without it. Masons build us houses, carpenters make us furniture, smiths shape our plowshares and other implements by the sweat of their face. Page number 754. Unfortunately, in our country, the educated youth are generally averse to manual labor under a false sense of dignity. They forget that respectability lies not in whether a work is done with the hand or with the intellect, but in how well it is done. A sweeper who does his work well is more praiseworthy and hence more honorable than a highly placed official who neglects his duties. A story is told of a man who once, when angry, thus spoke to a person who had risen to high position, "Sir, I remember when you were only a drummer boy, and didn't I drum well?" was the reply. That was well said. He knew what his work was, and though it was humble, he was not ashamed of it, and tried to do it well. In Western countries, even university students work as menials in hotels and other places during vacation in order to meet their expenses. However, where would we have got our food and shelter from if those we looked down upon had not worked with the hand? Manual labor is beneficial in other respects too. It keeps us physically fit and fosters a spirit of industry, self-help and manliness, and thereby helps moral growth. Moreover, our hands are for work. If we do not use them, we are surely guilty of neglecting one of the highest blessings of God, and nothing can be more shameful than to waste such a blessing. 46. Choice of books. Points. Need for choice, kinds of book, how to make the choice. Knowledge is said to be power, and the chief source of this knowledge is books. That is why books are so important to men. But their number is so great that it is simply impossible for any man to read them all. Nor is it desirable that everything coming out as a book should be read. Hence arises the need for choice. Books may be roughly divided into three classes: good, bad, and indifferent. Good books are those that give us pure delight and ennoble our minds and souls. Such are the religious masterpieces, lives of great men, classics, and works of men like Kalidas, Shakespeare, Vivekananda, Ravindranath. Good also are the books that give us useful knowledge about our profession and duties. Bad books are those that deal only with the dark side of things. This is often done in the name of art and realism. Their authors argue that unless we know what the evils are and how they work, it is not possible for us to be aware of them. But they ignore the fact that by familiarizing young people with evils in the most impossible period of their life, they corrupt their minds and poison their souls. Such books should therefore be avoided as carefully as we avoid a leper or a snake. Indifferent books fall into these two extremes. They neither elevate nor degrade, being read only for recreation or entertainment or to pass the time. Like play to a busy and active man, they have their uses, but too much indulgence in them is as harmful as too much play. Page number 755. Books exercise a great influence on the reader's mind. They form his tastes and ideas and thus guide his actions. So great care has to be taken in the choice of books. This is particularly necessary for young people. Their minds are like soft clay and take impressions easily. These impressions soon become rooted in them and shape their future. They must therefore read only such books that will elevate them both intellectually and morally. The best course for the young is to consult people who are well read and command respect for their judgment and character. If they do this, they are sure to grow in mind and soul. 47. Choice of profession. Points. What is it? Need of choice. How to make the choice. Conclusion. Man has to earn his living, and different persons do this in different ways. Which are their professions or vocations in life? Formerly, there was no question of choice in the matter. The profession of a man was generally determined by the profession of his family or father. Thus, a weaver's son became a weaver, a carpenter's son became a carpenter, a shopkeeper's son became a shopkeeper, etc. Even in the learned professions, doctors, lawyers, administrators, etc., desired their children to step into their shoes. But with the spread of education and growing complexity of social forces, men have been compelled to take up works quite different from those of their father or grandfather. The profession of a man has therefore become a matter of individual choice. As the future of a man's life depends on this choice, great care has to be given to it. The first thing necessary for a wise choice is to note the natural aptitude of a person from his boyhood. No one should be put to a course that does not suit his taste or abilities. If a man who shows a talent for mechanical devices is put on the medical line or legal profession, he may prove a failure, but he has every chance of shining as an engineer. Similarly, a boy who has no idealism and love of education cannot be a good teacher. One who is inclined to ease and comfort is unfit for business or professions like engineering. Sometimes it is difficult to make a proper decision. The ability of some develops rather late in life. Poverty may stand in the way of some following their aptitude. Still, it may be laid down as a general rule that career is open to talent. So a young man must choose his profession with great care. Once a line has been chosen, he must follow it with firm determination. He must not lose heart or give it up at a few upset. He should bear in mind the proverbs, "A rolling stone gathers no moss," and "Slow and steady wins the race." This will give him strength to overcome the initial difficulties and soon lead him to success in life. 48. Census. Point. Its objects, usefulness, malpractices. Census means an official count of the people of a country with details about sex, age, occupations, religion, cultural, etc. Its origin dates back to very ancient days. A census was going on when Jesus Christ was born, we are told. Page number 756. In our country, this is taken every 10 years. The latest census was taken in February 2001. The object of every government is to bring about improvements in every sphere of the country's life. To do this, the government must have full information about the number of people it will have to take care of and their lives. The census is meant to provide these details under different heads. This enables the government and the people to have a clear idea of where they stand and what their wants and resources are, and to plan for the future on a scientific basis. Thus, the figure about total population informs the government of how many people it has to feed and clothe. The figures about different age groups and educational qualifications show the level of education the country has already attained and what yet remains to be done in the matter. The figures about occupation are necessary to know what the principal occupations of the people are, how many are gainfully employed, and how many are unemployed. For this information, the government knows the economic condition of the people and adopts suitable measures to relieve unemployment and brings about material prosperity. The census also records information about the religious and cultural life of the people. Thus, the census gives a complete picture of everything about a country and its people. As the census is taken every 10 years, we know what changes have taken place between one census and the next. This enables us to judge if we are moving along right line or if our planning requires modifications and revisions. In this way, the census serves as a valuable guide for our future activities. There is a growing tendency to abuse this good thing for undesirable ends. As language has become the obsession of our political leaders, false statements are sometimes regarded for simple, ignorant people to serve particular interests. In view of the great harm this does to national life, such malpractices cannot be too strongly condemned. 49. Superstition. Points: what it means in a wider sense, the basis of religion, what it means in common talk, no man or community entirely free from it. A few examples are duty. Superstition means in a wider sense unreasoning fear of the unknown or mysteries. There are few people who are altogether free from it. This may seem rather strange. Man prides himself on his gift of reason and generally refuses to believe anything which cannot be explained by science or philosophy. Still, the really wise admit that human knowledge is limited after all, and that there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy, as Shakespeare put it. In fact, superstition in this sense is at the root of all religious faith, including the faith of God. The great German poet Goethe said, "Superstition is a part of the very being of humanity." In common talk, however, the word is used as a term of disgrace or reproach for senseless belief based on ignorant fear. We look down upon the uncivilized people as superstitious because they worship the different aspect of nature and are filled with awe by things that are simple enough to us. The Hindus are taunted by the Westerners because many of them regard a sneeze or a cry of the lizard or a call from behind when one is starting as ominous, and consider certain combinations of stars and days of the moon as inauspicious.